welcome to the New Rugged Order podcast, exclusively on the Hard Knock Digital Culture channel. Now give it up to your host, people, MM2K.
What's up, people? You know what? No, we're not going to play this happy music. That's more like it. What's up, everybody? It's your boy MM2K of PNTS Network, Hard Knock Digital Culture, where you're at right now. And this is the latest episode of the show that we call PS Pep Rally. This is the show where we talk about the latest and greatest in PlayStation news. However, we don't have something great to talk about, man. We don't have anything great to talk about today. I want to give a shout out to my homie Cold Blood Sensei in the house as usual. What's up, brother? Good to see you as always. We got some stuff to talk about today, man. It's not going to be a fun conversation, but it's a much needed conversation, and y'all know how I roll. I screw the fun. We got to do what we got to do. Kind of reminds me of a situation I've been dealing with my wife. We've something that just something that nothing bad. It's just something that's absorbing our time. And we got a lot of things on the docket. Like I said, I got that business thing with my friend, some other things that, other stuff that we're doing that I'm working with as well. Like, I'm stretched to the max. And I don't, when I say stretched to the max, I don't mean, oh my God, I'm so much under pressure. Again, nothing against people that feel that way. ADD runs in my family. So this is just, I need to be involved in a bunch of different things in order to be complacent. You know what I'm saying? I got to multitask 24/7 in order to be complacent. If I'm not multitasking, then I get nervous. The only time I like to chill back and relax is if I'm watching a good martial arts movie or a kick-ass anime. That's why the Hard Knock Digital. Those are the only things that can calm me down where I don't want anybody bothering me. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I tell people when we're having meetings and stuff, you tell me when you want to meet. I don't have leisure time. Like, I don't have, even gaming right now, because it's part of the business. It's not leisure time. I have no leisure time. So you tell me. Y'all that get to sit there and watch, and what do they call that? Where you watch a whole bunch of shows, a whole season, and you get to gorge on shows or whatever they call it. I don't get to do that. I have no free time, but that's the way that I'm wired. So if you're listening to this and you're like, hey man, I want to work with you on this, that, or the other. Have your time together. Be organized, because I don't have time to play. You know what I'm saying? And I'm kind of telling my wife this, and she's like, "Oh, you got to be a drill sergeant on everything." And it's like, no. When you're in crunch time, man, I don't play. That's why a lot of people get mad at me about the stuff that I say. Binge watch. Thank you, Cold Blood. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word. A lot of y'all sit there, and I don't have time to do that. Like, as soon as I get done with this, but like, everything is connected. As soon as I get done with this, I got to run somewhere. As soon as I come back, I got something else to do here. Then it's like that every day. So, anywho, yeah, we're gonna be talking a lot of tough love. I see your comment, Cold Blood. For some reason, the comment picker won't allow me to say it. It won't allow me to put it on the screen, but I'll say it. Thank you again, too, brother, for the 12-month subscription. This is Fire Jim Ryan and Herman Holst. I'm done with their ish. Yeah, brother, I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of with you. I don't think that's the monstrous idea, but I got some blowback for you. Because there's something I was telling y'all that was at the root of this. And everybody, and I think including you, was like, oh, no, man, no. Don't worry about that. And I was like, look, man, this is what's needed to keep checks and balances going. Nobody want to listen to MM2K till it's too late. I tried to tell y'all. Hold on, let me check something real quick. I thought I got something important across my airwaves. And I want to, again, apologize for actually watching the show. Maybe that was God's way of making sure God's way of making sure I didn't suffer through that in one sitting and lose my lunch. You know what I mean? So, hold on one second. So, with that said, I want to welcome everybody to PS Pep Rally episode 9. We're going to talk about specifically the showcase. We're going to talk about what the expectations were, what we actually got in the show, and the problem that the showcase has presented because it didn't reach expectations. I need to pull something up because I'm not ready as usual. Y'all know me. I don't come prepared. I'm so busy I don't come prepared. Meanwhile, I want you to be organized, right? All right, so let's do a couple things. Also, I wanted to make note. I did say, and this is going to be particular. Well, Cold Blood don't care. He likes to come and razz me regardless of what I'm playing. I made a tweet earlier. Oh, come on, man. Come on, Windows. I freaking hate you, man. I hate Microsoft Windows. Just that's the stupidest stuff. Anywho, when I tweeted earlier, I had mentioned that we were going to be playing a PlayStation game today. That's not going to happen. The reason being is that I have a capture card that's embedded in an external PC. So I don't have the capture card in my same PC. So my normal PC is beefed up. It's like, but I don't know how, just too much RAM, video card, all that stuff. I have a PC dedicated to streaming. And that's why a lot of the streams that come out are so good that we do. That's all the PC is for, is streaming. Problem is that per the internal capture card that I have in there, the most recent update requires me to get more RAM. And I've been meaning to get the RAM. I don't want to say I've been playing around. I've been in and out of the hospitals dealing with stuff because of certain things and just having to deal with this business. Like I've literally, opposite of the shows that I were able to do, I've had no free time here at the office. So instead of me buying the RAM and inserting it any previous time, I just let it go. And that's why there hasn't been any PlayStation content, because if you know anything about capture devices, when you use a capture card, an internal one, it uses up a lot of RAM. You got to have a lot of RAM. And I got 16 gigabytes in this thing. That apparently that's not enough. 16 gigabytes isn't enough, even if you're just using a computer to do capturing. So I got another 16 coming in, and it won't be until tomorrow. I was supposed to order it last night, forgot all about it because something else happened, and then remembered to do it this morning. So it'll be in tomorrow from Amazon. So I'll put the new RAM in, and we'll do the PlayStation stream tomorrow. My wife is going somewhere too. Hallelujah. And you know what I'm saying? And we'll be playing games and all other stuff. That being said, we're going to replace the PlayStation stream. We're going to be doing Deathloop, and we're going to be doing Dead Island on GFN. Both are going to be done on GFN. That's going to start at 12:30. The Deathloop, it's going to kind of be like my first look on GFN. And then we're going to around 7 p.m. today, because my wife is leaving. And so I'm taking full advantage of her ass not being here because she pissed me off. She pissed me off yesterday, big time. So I'm taking full advantage. And when she leaves at 7 tonight, we're going to be playing some Dead Island here on this channel. Deathloop will be on MM2K Gaming. Dead Island will be on this channel. So stay tuned. 7 p.m. Eastern, that is. All right. Now let's get into today's show. But before we do, I'd be remiss if I didn't show you this. This is our website, pntsnetwork.com. Come here for the latest and greatest in gaming news from all our PNTS Network contributors. And if you come to my page, if you go to the PNT, or you just simply go to pntsnetwork.com/MM2K Gaming, you can actually find my Twitch activity on the page. Hey, look, that's us. Whoa! And you can also find my YouTube content directly embedded on the page with the Twitch content. And you can also get access to all the links where I create content. Okay. All right. So wanted to show you guys that. Okay. So I want to pull one thing up because there's something in the DM that I posted. So now I'm not giving you guys any secrets. But something in the DM that I posted a while ago. Oh, no. I don't need to go in the DM because I'm pulling it from, there we go. I'm pulling it from this. All right, cool means. All right. So let's talk about the showcase. All right. So part one, the expectation. Why isn't something weird is going on? Comments are not. Oh, now they are. Okay. So here goes the expectations. Honestly, there's only 2 machines out there for AAA hardcore genre defining gaming. And those are the games that we consider, like, without me going into some long soliloquy. What is that? So many words, MM2K. Games like BioShock, Mass Effect, Jade Empire, God of War, Last of Us 2, stuff like that really define the genre and what to expect at its apex. You know what I'm saying? Games like that really push AAA gaming and development forward. This is what this channel is all about. So that's our focus. That's 99.999% of our focus here. There's only 2 machines out there that are trying to do that. Again, I'm nothing to take away from Zelda. Those are great experiences. Those are still great experiences, but they're not like AAA, top of the line graphics, top of the line technology. They're not that. They're still great experiences though. Don't get me. But again, this is like a tech of like a top of the line, very detail oriented tech platform. That's why we don't cover Switch. We're not saying Switch is bad, not at all. Like I'm still scrambling to try to find me a Switch because I know there's one around here somewhere because I want to play the latest Zelda game. You know what I mean? Tears of the Kingdom. That being said, we know and recognize there's only 2 boxes for that cause. There's that green box over there across the street, and then there's the PlayStation. And as far as gamers who want those experiences, they've overwhelmingly flocked to PlayStation. Gamers in general have overwhelmingly flocked to PlayStation. PlayStation has destroyed it saturation-wise with their consoles. It's getting embarrassing again. And in addition, you know what I mean? The other box, the competitor is like real heavy in pushing other forms of medium having their games. Cloud, PC. The PC part, they've had like a head start on that as far as pushing that. But all it takes is for you to put, but PlayStation is readily pushing their games forward. You know what I'm saying? Cloud, opposite of them doing what they're doing with Fortnite, that other machine, PlayStation Cloud is doing a lot better than people would even surmise. And it's not even, and they're still doing games at 30 frames per second. The streaming tech seems to be better than the competition, but the ceiling as far as performance, it ain't even up there yet, and it's still doing better. It's still doing better than what people expect. I'll put it like that. When you talk about the subscription service, they found out there's only like in totality, only like 10, maybe 15 million. They're at half the capacity of the competitor who's really been pushing it. I mean, they've pushed it. They've pushed their subscription service to unbelievable heights, and just only really making headway for their subscription service about a year or two ago. They've already, they're halfway there. You've been pushing yours since what, 2017, I believe. It launched in 2017. They've made their push since what, 2020, 2021, right? When was that when PS Now was downgraded to $9.99 as far as the price is concerned? I think that was 2020. So 3 years afterwards, they lowered the price. But you can say that they really didn't make the push until they merged everybody together. They merged everybody together. I mean, not everybody, but the PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus services, they merged them together, and they're already halfway there. And they're still not doing nowhere near as much of a push as you are, and they're already halfway there. I don't know, man. Like, PlayStation is killing in saturation. That cannot be denied. And so with all that happening, and the comp having a horrible showing with one of their heavily anticipated exclusives really doing bad. The message that was sent across the community, was, all right, PlayStation is the only ones that we can rely on. It's a moniker that we've held for some time, surprisingly, especially because of our roots. But we've held some time, but it seemed like that gamers were coming to the resolve. You know what? PlayStation is the only one we can rely on for those top of the line genre defining experiences. We're just not going to get it from this other box. And so immediately after the other box had the bad experience with its exclusive, they attempted to damage control by announcing, all right, look, we're going to have a showcase, right? To try to change the conversation. And people were looking down at that showcase. It was like, well, we don't expect much, whatever, right? Then all of a sudden, PlayStation announces their showcase. They announced it well later, but they moved it ahead of the competition's showcase. That sent the signal that we're gonna give the final death blow. We're going to destroy you guys. Like, we're going to make it abundantly clear who's the flunky and who are the kings here. We're going to make it abundantly clear to gamers. We're going to jump in front of you, give our showcase, and then put the pressure on you. Right? And it really seemed bad for the competition, and what it seemed like more than anything, it not only it being bad for the competition, but again, the kings of the game, PlayStation, really cementing the fact why they can't be touched. That's what it seemed like. and they didn't tell people to damper expectations. PlayStation themselves was like, get hyped. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not just showing some things that may only hit with mainstream gamers. Now they were like, look, they were sending messages to the hardcore that be on Twitter. Look, get excited. You know what I'm saying? We got some stuff that's going to get you excited. So along with them, PlayStation saying it themselves, you had many credible people in the field who said the same thing. Like, oh no, I'm getting insight on this. Be very excited. I've had people message me, be very excited, that just came out of the woodwork. I'm like, whoa. So I believed it, and a lot of people believed it. That, you know, PlayStation was like, this was the death blow to the competitor, and PlayStation was going to sit on top of the hill with their sword raised in the air to say, we are the champions, right? Like, we got you covered. We're really all you need. That's what we thought was happening, because all the language, the posturing, all of that matched an outcome like that, a definitive outcome like that, like an unmistakable one that where anybody, friend or foe, would look at it and be like, damn, they really killed it. That's the posturing that happened to the markup, to the showcase. So I wanted to go through all that just to set the expectations, because a lot of people, they enjoyed it a lot more than the average hardcore gamer, which is fine. I never tackle people for their opinion, their personal taste. I'll put it like that. I never tackle people for their personal taste. You like what you like. And too often in this community, we have too many people telling you what you should like. You like what you like. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with, though, is where you take your own personal taste and you try to use it to paint a broad brush on how everybody should react. That is wrong. Because if you want people to respect your taste, then you got to respect theirs. And even though you may have heard the same stuff, but it didn't land with you that way, because you just simply were able to just focus on the showcase and say, well, that's the stuff that I want to play, so I'm happy. There's nothing wrong with that being your personal taste, but again, to expect everyone else to feel like you do is wrong. And that's why I pointed out that it's wrong, because of the expectation that was set by Sony themselves. So if you're going to walk like that, then the outcome should only be in this realm, in this sector, and they should know better. But apparently they didn't, or something happened, and I'm going to get into what I feel really happened, but something happened, right? To where the seal the deal expectations of Sony, showing why they're the kings, showing why they're selling so many consoles, and showing us a pipeline, a roadmap. Because after this year, we really don't know what to expect. Wolverine and a couple of multiplayer games that we still don't know nothing about. What to expect, what the vision is on them. It's not a good look. So with that said, let's move on. That was the expectation. Here's what we actually got. Now, before I get into the actual show itself, I want to give you a glimpse at my rating system. So in order for me to do that, I then have to do this. Do you see that? That is, okay, you guys might think I'm nuts and I'm crazy, but this is my log for when I play games. Yes, I create a log for when I play games. I'm that much of a data buff to where I create statistics for when I play games. I'm a data hoarder like that. I bring my work home with me. So what I've done is I've created spreadsheets for whenever I play a game. I break down the time that I was playing that game, certain particulars of the settings, what I did, and then I go into a rating of how the game was in certain core elements I find important, right? And then what happens is an average is created, which that average isn't right now because all the slots in the spreadsheet aren't filled up, and I got to double check that that formula. Something is definitively wrong. I'll double check it because it can't be over 10. And I don't have, I have ratings that are like, and then nothing has been rated a 10. So I got to figure it out why it's doing that. Oh, hold on. Average what? Oh, no. That's right. Average hours. So like, for instance, this is Atomic Heart. And I still got a lot of Atomic Heart to play. Some of my stuff was coming out that I abandoned it 10 hours through. But I got 10 hours, 10.3 hours in Atomic Heart. And the average right now that I'm giving the game is 8.3. That's why I was kind of shocked when I saw that the game was rated like, 60 or something like that on Metacritic. But, whatever. I'm only 10 hours in. So far, my rating is 8.3. So that's what I do. All right. And what does this got to do with the showcase? Well, I didn't rate the showcase in this fashion, but I just wanted to show you guys I chronologically listed the games that I saw, listed what I thought about them, and gave them a score out of 5. So it's structurally different from what I've done here, but I've done it, right? And just to give you an understanding of when I do score stuff, whether it's a game or it's a showcase, this is my score rating. And as you can see, it may seem a little bit higher than what you're used to from your schools. That's because I rate using the Catholic school system. There was a significant part of my childhood that I went to a Catholic school and got the best education, you know what I'm saying, that I got because they're so damn tough. And I've always applied those theories and that toughness to everything I do in life. That's why I'm so damn tough on things that I rate and I judge. And when I'm disappointed in something that I felt like that you had all the tools to do better, but you were just lackadaisical, lazy, or arrogant, that's why I'm hard on you. Because I'm hard on myself. I don't expect anything from anybody that I don't expect from myself. So I grade things on like the Catholic school mantra where, a C is like a D in the Catholic school system. And there are really no E's. And a D is failing. If you get a D in the Catholic school, the D is an E. And what they do is just for aesthetic purposes, you get under a 65%, you failed. Definitively. It's just a big fat F. But you can't pass with a D average. I'll put it like that. If you have a D average, which is in Catholic school, it's a 71 or lower is a D. 71 or lower in the Catholic school is a D. That's a C in the public school. I think in a public school, what is it? It's a lot easier. So, based upon this rating system, when I say that I give something a 7 out of 10, like people freak out, like that wasn't a 7 out of 10 to me is, if you look at the scale, it's a D. It just ain't cutting it. Maybe if you're on the higher, someone in the mid scale, like, at a 72 to a 74, I'm going to say it's heavily flawed. Try at your own risk. 75 and above is like problematic, but not too bad. You see what I'm saying? So that's my rating system. Cold Blood Sensei. Oh, he said I went to a Catholic school and I hated every minute. I loved it, dude. I loved the challenge. I loved it. I got the best education there. Like, I started off in a public school. It was horrible. I was bored, always getting into trouble because I was bored. Like I wasn't learning anything. Then when I went to a Catholic school, I was the most engaged there. I was very engaged, learned a lot there. And unfortunately for high school, I went to a public school where once again I got into trouble because I didn't feel engaged. I was bored. Wasn't until like my thank goodness my junior year did I start like shaping up and stop doing the stupid stuff and got with it. But that Catholic school mentality's always stuck with me. Even when I was getting my papers graded and I'd be upset when my score wasn't high enough, people was like, well, why are you upset? You got a C plus. And I'm like, no, that's a C plus to you. That's a D to me. What are you talking about? I go by the Catholic school system. So I always put, and I think I was better than anybody, I just put higher expectations on myself. And because I put higher expectations on myself on stuff that I know I can do well at, not stuff that, I'm learning, stuff that I know I can do well at. I put higher expectations on myself. So if I put higher expectations on myself, I'm going to do the same thing for you. If you know what to do, but you refuse to do it for your own personal agenda, you are going to get dinged. You're going to get dinged here. Why? Because people are paying their money. It is not right for you to dupe people and take their money when they have set expectations, but you refuse to do it even though you're capable. You'd rather do this. It's unacceptable. Cold Blood Sensei says, I swear to God, if Jim Ryan says one more time there was no adverse reaction to what we announced, I'm going to legit stop listening to his ish. This was the last strike. I'm going to talk about the problem. I'm going to get into all that, but that's a very great point, Cold Blood. So I wanted to show you guys that. All right, so here's my take on the showcase. I showed you guys my ranking system. I want to show you guys one more thing. I got a kick out of this because I remember I showed this to somebody recently and they was like, F is U Bowl Award. Who's U Bowl? And I was like, oh, damn, you must be young. U Bowl was this director. All my old heads know he was a director that was making movies in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like he was known for the movies that he made. Look him up. U Bowl, Uwebol. I think he's German. You was making these movies based on our favorite video games, Far Cry, Blood Rain, a whole bunch of movies, and they sucked. They were horrific. And at the time, this is before the apex the apex in entertainment that gaming sees now. Like this was sixth generation of gaming where it's getting a big boost, but it's not where it's at now. And so there weren't, outside of Mario, you know what I'm saying? And maybe Hitman. I think there was a Hitman movie around that time. But outside of some movies here and there, like literally every blue moon, if they were popular games like Mario or Sonic. Well, Sonic didn't have a movie until recently, but you catch my drift. There wasn't big budget production regularly on video games. So there definitely weren't no TV shows. So back then you weren't getting no Last of Us style TV show budget on Jade Empire. You know what I'm saying? Even the top-notch games that we had back then, they just weren't doing it. Even though you had a lot of shows out there, I think shows like Heroes that were based upon writing very similar to what you see in video games. I mean, video games for a very long time, really since the PlayStation days, they were using, Hollywood-esque writing and writers for their content. So U-Bowl was making movies. He was being granted licenses to our favorite video games, and he was making the worst movies ever. And we, as gamers, felt like he was putting a serious stain on video games. We didn't see the days of today where, there would be an Uncharted movie and Halo TV series and all of this stuff. We just thought that he was putting a real stain on video games outside of our circle. So we urged him to stop. There were petitions for him to stop, and people tried to threaten to boycott Ubisoft and other people if they continue to give their game licenses to But what it was is I think U-Bowl was rich because of his family or something like that. I can't remember the complete history on you. So he had money. He wasn't making money from his movies, but he had money. And so he was presenting. So in order to get these licenses, he had to pay a considerable amount of money. And of course, these video game developers at that time, again, because they're not getting the entertainment revenue that they're seeing now, they're like, oh, hell yeah, you want to give us, and I'm just throwing numbers out there, you want to give us $1 million to make a Far Cry? Have at it. And that was big money back then for a gaming company. You know what I'm saying? So he was able to leverage the money that he got from whatever activities to get these licenses. He sure as hell wasn't making it off the movies. So we had urged and tried our best, and finally he just gave up. After we just razzed that guy so much, the gamers in our community, he finally gave up. So that's where the U-Bowl Award comes from. That's me saying that your effort was so bad it's reminiscent of U-Bowl. So I wanted to put that out there. A little brief history for those of you that aren't familiar with it. All right, so let's get into the ranking. First, let me talk about the pros. All right, I think the pros of the show was like threefold. I think PlayStation VR 2 looked really good. Actually, if you were watching the show when I was trying to do my reaction to it live, you'll see me putting the scores in that I was talking about earlier, but then I had to cut it short halfway through because something had happened and I had to stop everything, take care of that. When I came back later in the day, when I came back home, I was watching it again, but everything had been broken up into different segments and all, and I was kind of confused. And I was like, damn, I still got like 45 minutes to go. So what I did first was, because I got into an argument with somebody, I'm in a DM, I watched Spider-Man first. So that was like, 20 minutes or something like that. So I watched Spider-Man first, and then I was like, okay, well, what was next after? Because I had left during the Assassin's Creed Mirage showing. And I said, what was that next after Assassin's Creed Mirage? And I think there were a couple things that were next. But here, let me take a look. There were a couple things that were next. But then it started going into PlayStation VR. When it started going into PlayStation VR, I was like, the VR part is going to be trash. Like, I'm not even thinking about that. NRO game show. Hold on. Okay. So let's see here. Assassin's Creed. There was, there were a few more things. So what I did was, I skipped, I watched those, because after Assassin's Creed Mirage was Revenant Hill. So I watched all the way up to from Revenant Hill to Five Nights at Freddy. And then when I saw Resident Evil 4 VR mode, it looked cool, but I stopped. Didn't watch that. Skipped that and went to Marathon. That's when I watched Marathon. And then I watched the rest of the show, but I had, and I had watched Spider-Man, which was the last thing, later. So I didn't see the PlayStation VR part because, again, I was like, I don't have 45 minutes, to watch everything. The PlayStation VR must have sucked. I see nobody talking about it. I'm not super interested in VR. It's piqued my interest to a degree, but I'm not super interested in it. I'll get back to VR at another time. So, wake up the next day, have some discussions about the showcase, and then I decide to watch the PlayStation VR. And I can't lie, the PlayStation VR looked really good to me. It really did. Like, of course, Resident Evil 4 VR mode looked good, but Arizona Sunshine 2, that was an interesting CGI, right? It was interesting, right? And I looked up the old one for measure, and the old one came out in 2019. I'm pretty sure that the technology now, 4 years later, is a lot better. So that interest, I was like, oh, that looks cool. Then there was Crossfire Sierra. Oh my God. That looked dope. I don't know about you. To me, that was fire. That looked dope. Dude busted through the wall and at the end. That was dope for a VR game. Oh man. And then Synopsis. They showed even more Synopsis, and I was even more impressed. And then it was Beat Saber. Whatever. I'm not into the but those 4 games. Resident Evil VR, Arizona Sunshine 2, Crossfire Sierra, and Synopsis. They played a significant role on the score that I ended up giving the game. Oh, that's my homie. I got to call him later. Played a significant role in the score because it was going to be worse. And then I saw PlayStation VR and I was like, oh, to where I can't lie, y'all. I had no intentions of buying a VR unit. I might actually get one. I mean, those are 4 games off the bat. To me, that looked fire. And I didn't see, Arizona Sunshine, but I saw the first one. And the first one is dated, looking to a degree or whatever. But I'm assuming that the second one is going to look better. And I think the concept is dope. I'm not a super big zombie guy, but off the heels of me still playing Dead Island 2, that has a lot to do with my excitement towards Arizona Sunshine 2. But even bigger than that, Crossfire Sierra, man, look, let me tell you something. So that PlayStation VR looked good. What also was a pro for the show was they showed off AAA multiplats well. I mean, for what it's worth, they did. They showed off, AAA multiplats well. I mean, like, let's look at them. For this, Dragon's Dogma 2 looked good. Street Fighter 6 looked good. Alan Wake looked fantastic. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater looked good. Those games look good. They look good. And look, they were shown to the masses on a PlayStation. Now I get it that Microsoft put a slick tweet out there. This is a great thing in games. But the gamers that watch that show, they're not on Twitter. So it was effective at that sense for PlayStation's bottom line of what they were looking to do, to show that to gamers, to show that these cool looking games, even though they're multiplat, for the first time for them to be seen, they're being seen through PlayStation. I get that part. And then for the stuff that they did show that was exclusive, I mean, granted, not a lot, but Phantom Blade, which I don't know, is that a second party exclusive title? Is that just a time exclusive? I don't know. But the Phantom Blade looked great. Grand Blue Fantasy looked great, looked good as hell. Oh man, I'm excited for that one. And of course, Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 look. And I've said this before. I'm not a big Spider-Man player, but that looked pretty dope. So I'm likely picking that one up too. All right. So those are the pros. I'm not going to say that the whole show was bad or it was a 2. I'm not going that far. I am admitting that it did not do what it was supposed to do. Therefore, it was bad. It was bad. But I'm not going to sit there and say, I'm not going to say that the show was the worst. Like I'm seeing the worst show out there. No, it's not the worst Sony show. I feel like I've seen worse, but the timing that you put something like this out there in this format you couldn't have been any worse with the timing of this. Like if PlayStation would have did this earlier in the year, but without all the expectations and stuff like that, if they would have dropped this same format earlier in the year and said, we just want to give you guys a glimpse of 2023 and maybe and a little bit beyond. And they dropped something like this in February. It wouldn't have been that bad of a, it wouldn't have landed the way that it landed. I still don't think that would have been the best thing to do with this show. I think what would have been better is to chop this up into state of plays that you should have done earlier in the year. You should have did a state of play in January with a little bit of all this. One in March with a little bit of all this. And then one at the beginning of May with a little bit of all this. That's what I would have done. But whatever. All right. So with that being said, those were the pros. Now we're going to get into the cons that really, really destroyed the show. But before we go, Cold Blood Sensei he says a effing movie trailer and some dumb strap-on controller. Where you looking at his device? Hell no. Yeah, that's a problem. We're gonna get into all that. All right. So the biggest crime, number one, these are the 3 crimes that they committed. Crime number 1 is you didn't have enough exclusive content or gameplay. Like to have a show, to call this a showcase, when there's such a heavy expectation by the hardcore that, the showcase is the top of the line stuff and you're really going to bring it. To disregard the hardcore all like that is a crime. It's a crime that I would expect from, again, the green box across the street, not from Sony. That was a no-no. You did not have enough exclusive content or gameplay. Hell, a lot of the stuff that you showed were from your own studios, but they're going elsewhere. And to cement that, Microsoft, which again, I'm going to talk about this in the Fallout section, the Aftermath rather section, Microsoft put a poster up of 12 games, and a number of them included games from you that you're making that are coming elsewhere. No. So tone deaf to your hardcore. No, you can't do that. And I'm all for PlayStation making some moves and say, look, man, we got to do this despite y'all hardcore. We got to make sure that we cover all our ground. But when you have a showcase, that's not the place to disregard your hardcore. You don't do nothing like that. That's unbelievable, because the hardcore want to know that you're going to bless them with content they can't get anywhere else. Hence why they even bought the box. I bought this box. The only thing this box can do is play games. What are you specifically going to give me in reward for buying your box? That's the name of the game. That's how it works. And for you to still not give a glimpse or show enough content to help alleviate those concerns for your hardcore, that's a horrible move, Sony. Horrible move. And you know better. So I don't know what it is that you're trying to prove. Which leads to the second crime that you committed. Too much indie fluff. Now, granted, and I used to get lambasted about this from a cloud gaming community. Man, MM2K, it's not all about the indie stuff. And yes, all right, when you're talking about a 1% cloud gaming platform that's begging and thirsting for games, begging and thirsting for development, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll play freaking the Night Princess or whatever type of indie game on there. Enjoy it, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's reaching a certain maturation, and it's free $99 to access, except let alone a $9 subscription to get 4K. Okay, so yes, of course, the expectations that I have for an emerging tech platform is totally different from someone who's been in the game for decades. All that indie stuff, bruh. Like, really? Like, really? Again, I'm counting what? How many indie? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, about 9 indie titles out of how many? You had 35. So a third, close to a third, were like cutesy indie games, right? That's too much. Yes, even a third. It's too much. It's not the percentage or the fraction of it that's too much. Well, maybe it is. Yeah, it is. But it's definitely the number. Have 9 or 10, budget looking indie games, when again the fervor is for your AAA hardcore stuff. Bad move. Very bad move. Not saying that you don't want to show the stuff, you definitely do, but there's a form for that. This was not the right form for as many budget looking indie games that you showed on Wednesday. Again, that seems like a thumb at the nose to your hardcore, your biggest group. Not a good look. And the final, but I think the biggest crime, is not enough glimpse into the future. Okay, we bought the box based off of your past activity. But we're not going to keep playing the games. We're not going to keep playing God of War and Horizon over and over again. You told us you got 26 games in the pipeline. We feel like that's the truth. Show us what you got. What are you holding so close to your vest for? The CMA already said that they're not even listening to your concerns anymore as far as the consoles are concerned. Help us understand strategically why you would hold back anything. You said you have 26 games in development, exclusive titles. You have 26 exclusive titles in development. Now, I hope the 26 exclusive titles weren't mainly VR games. I'm looking at the showcase, and the largest set, and maybe that's it. Even though I was told there was other stuff. I'm gonna get into that. Maybe that's not it. But yeah, you gotta show the hardcore AAA PlayStation 5 stuff that's coming down the pike. And no, the cinematic trailers for Haven's game and what, I mean, that's nice and all that you're journeying into that realm, but that's not what you're known for. It's like going to Ruth Chris Steakhouse, sitting there for 5 hours. They done showed you the potatoes. They done showed you the beverages. They showed you pictures of when you ate the steak the last time you came and how happy you were, but you still ain't getting the steak to eat now. So you can come back the next time. Like, what are you doing? When it comes to these showcases, you gotta have something hefty there to whet the appetite of the AAA hardcore genre defining demo. What were you thinking? You're not showing anything. So because of that, and some people may say MM2K, that's not hard enough, but listen to me. I'll go back to my chart. Because of that, you did not do enough. You showed some cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. I told you PlayStation VR 2 looked good. You showed off AAA multiplats well. I understand why you would do that for mainstream gaming needs. But and then Phantom Blade, Grand Blue, Fantasy, Spider-Man 2 really would pique some interest. But opposite of that, you didn't cut it. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 is what I rank this showcase. And before you guys say, hey, 7 out of 10, MM2K, no, you capping. My 7 out of 10, again, are here. That's why I say what I said earlier. It just ain't cutting it. I'm not saying it's at the lowest level, but because you showed some stuff, but you didn't do what you needed to do. You just ain't cutting it. You failed. Again, where I come from, Cold Blood, since I can't relate to this, you got a D. A D is a failure to that world. There is no, well, okay, you passed by the skin of your teeth, but that really wasn't a good showing. That's a C minus. Heavily flawed, try at your own risk. No, I'm sorry. That's a C. Problematic, but not too bad. You didn't pass. You did not pass. You're only 2 levels from the bottom. Just ain't cutting it. I think the show was that bad. Now, I know some people are upset hearing that. Oh, there's some cool stuff. And people have responded to me, MM2K, you're just being too hard. And, shout out to my brother Jack. He was out there putting his thoughts out there about gamers being too hard on game. Look, man, this is art. This is art. And these are highly capable artists. And that's what, and the biggest thing is, that's what we're paying for. This is different from using a device with tools on it. You know what I'm saying? Like me tinkering with my Android device and, I could use this app to unlock my car. This ain't no tool set. We're paying top-notch dollar for art. We're paying because you're known to be gathering the top-notch artists to paint for your gallery. So that's why we pay all this money to you. It's time for you to produce. This is not the Children's Museum where Joey Bob Dimley and his family just made some finger painting and, this is a night out with the family. No. There's nothing wrong with those instances. This is hardcore AAA genre defining gaming, aka you're going to the biggest art museum. You're decked out in the finest clothes. You're nibbling on the cheese and wine. You're looking to get some of the best art pieces. This is your thing. This is not a super relaxed recreational thing like grabbing the family and go checking out some finger painting and talking to Polly the parrot, who gives the kids a couple of Tootsie Rolls on your way out. This is some serious grade A artwork that we're paying for. We're paying top dollar for it. We know that you're good enough. We know your pedigree on getting with the best artists and having the best pieces to showcase that we can buy. So imagine my astonishment in a negative way when I come to the showcase and I see a bunch of finger painting there. Excuse me? Now again, Bobby D and them that just went again to Phipps Conservatory with the kids and saw Paulie the parrot and was eating $2 cheese pizza and was getting the Tootsie Rolls when they left over at their Phipps Conservatory. He may stumble across this art gallery, in his denim shorts and his tank top, with his pirate hat on. And he may look through the window and say, oh, those pieces are cool. Come on, kids. Right? And that's fine. You like what you like. But again, this is not the purpose and the expectancy of the PlayStation product. There are art galleries that they may have that are for that. They may mimic the Phipps Conservatory. But the thing that brings in the bacon is that people know that the best genre-defining developed games are there. So they put out top dollar. They put on the best clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like they're ready. They're fully invested in getting those genre-defining experiences. No way is more important than the other, but both ways have to be respected. Just because you like the finger painting doesn't mean there is no place for the top-notch artistry that we're paying for when it comes to these platforms. When you're paying $70, that's what you're paying for. That's why everything isn't one price. The $70 is supposed to get you the top-notch genre-defining experiences. Now, people may fall flat on them, and that's fine, because that is the ups and downs of art, but they're at least attempting to give you that. Right? So, no, I'm not coming down too hard. I'm not. And I respect people that feel like, well, I don't feel the way that you feel, MM. I don't feel like it's that bad. I get it. I get the people that may feel even worse. Now, there's some people that are doing it solely because they wanted PlayStation to destroy Xbox. They're doing it for some fanboy stuff. Look, please don't be confused. I will dog Microsoft. I do it often, but I don't do it for fanboy reasons. I do it because I'm disappointed in their output and they need to do better. I'm not doing this to crap on the platform, find negative stuff so I can prop PlayStation up and make them look better. Hell no. Never. So my disappointment has nothing to do with them not killing Microsoft. My disappointment is because there are expectations in their output, whether Microsoft is out or not, that they didn't reach. So I'm not one of those people that are feeling this way for fanboy reasons. For those of you that are, shame on you. But there are people that feel worse about this than I do. And I break them up into two groups. Because I've had these conversations. I've actually talked to some Xbots who were like, oh, this is horrible. This is trash. This is disgusting. Ah! And I'm like, hold on. Now, don't you cap too hard. Because as bad as this was, and again, I'm not making an excuse for this. I'm just telling you what it is. It's better, you know what I'm saying, than anything that Xbox has shown you in a while. And on top of that, they have the output to, despite the show, people still have confidence in the product, even though they're disappointed in the showcase. Microsoft has neither. The best thing that Microsoft has shown you is a graphically impressive Hellblade. That's it. Redfall looked like trash. It didn't look stunning at all. And I've been saying that from the beginning. Starfield kind of looks underwhelming now. They got an opportunity to change that. Let's see. You've seen CGI pretty much for everything else. At least PlayStation gamers know that they're getting a badass looking Final Fantasy 16, badass looking Spider-Man, right? And then there's other games coming in 2023 that are dope. And they got PlayStation VR too, if they made that investment. So don't get it twisted, Xbot. This, yes, we can all agree that this did not foot the bill. The timing of putting something like this out, if the timing was different, it would have landed better, even though I still don't think this was the right format. You were going to put something out in front of Microsoft in light of all these recent events. You were sending a very bad signal that you did not intend to meet. You were just looking at this from a personal standpoint and say, look, we got mainstream people out here watching this. Screw you, hardcore gamer. We're going to hold back that stuff till we really need you. If Microsoft have a good showing, you know what I'm saying, with Starfield, you know what I mean, then we'll pull this stuff out. That's the line of reasoning. And y'all created that dynamic. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But besides that, no, Xbot. It's like, excuse my French, it's like a reference I always use. Yeah, PlayStation served us a cup of piss, but Xbox is still a shit sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Don't nothing make those lumps even go down any smoother. Still a shit sandwich. Now it's easier for them to not look like the shit, not to smell as bad. It's easier for the shit to be mistaken for meatloaf. Ask someone that dare take a bite. Ugh. But you still got a lot to prove that Sony does not. They just had an expectation to meet that they didn't meet. And now we're sitting there back like what's really going on here? To where you're at the bottom. If all it takes is something minuscule as Starfield being 30 frames per second, you're done. You're done. So I said to the Xbot group that I was talking to, slow your roll, because there have been shittier outputs from Xbox. Y'all giving 8, 9s on these podcasts, sitting there saying, oh no, it was great, I give it an 8 or a 9, all that silly stuff, right? But y'all want to rank this at the bottom of and that's why Xbox ain't getting no better, because y'all have higher expectations for PlayStation than you do for the thing that you quote unquote support. We need them both trying the hardest. Aren't they both $70 game making AAA machines? Hell, I can get a cheaper version of the top notch model of the PlayStation just for $100 less. Just don't have a disc. Right? There are no cheaper versions of the Xbox Series X, no discless versions. So you could argue that my entry into the AAA genre defining world of Xbox is a lot more expensive than PlayStation, because the Series S is a joke. And the Series S, we already know, is holding back the Series X. So ain't nobody that's seriously trying to play next gen games, primarily, with Xbox is doing it through an S. Your S is your secondary machine, or you ain't serious about playing genre defining next gen or current gen games. If you are, then you got an X. So, yeah, Xbox Zealot. Yeah, we can have the PlayStation gamers can have the conversation and say, yeah, there's a problem, and we got to address this problem. That don't make your rotted, you know what I'm saying? That don't make your garbage infested side of the street any better. Still stinks. Rats and roaches tap dancing on your porch. No, please. Don't even worry about what's going on over here. You get your chuckles and your huckles every now and again, but please be worried about your own showcase. So I wanted to put that message out there and make it abundantly clear. No one's thinking about what y'all got to say. That's like if I'm Kimbo Slice and I lose a UFC match and I look out the corner of my eye and Mr. Rogers is laughing. Ha ha ha. Got your ass kicked, Kimbo. I would have done better than that, please. Mr. Rogers, get your ass out of here. Get your ass out of here, please. All right. So, yeah, I gave it a 7 out of 10. It ain't cutting it. Unacceptable. Yeah, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what they were thinking. Let's go to the comments. Let's put them up there. Coldblood says, Jim Ryan's era started with this showcase, and it's un-effing believably bad if all Jim Ryan wants to make is a Fortnite cash cow. Okay, go ahead, but it won't be there to buy your next box. He also says 4 out of 10, and that's being generous. The effing movie trailer made it almost a 3. I was leaning more towards a 6. Again, going by my grading scale, I was leaning more towards in order for me to go 4, it has to be like embarrassingly bad. Like you have no AAA games. You got nothing but indie titles. The AAA games that you do show are horrible. Your first party looks horrible. Like I think I was close to rating an Xbox showcase of 4. Right. There was one that was horrible. I think I rated it a 4 because it checked all those bad boxes. But I was about to rate this a 6, and what bumped it from a 6 to a 7, honestly, was PlayStation VR 2. And I wasn't looking for a reason. I was literally thinking like 6. I was like 7 at the highest. And when I saw the PlayStation VR, the fact that it got someone like me now contemplating and figuring out and crunching numbers and figuring out how I could get a PlayStation VR 2, that's a level of effectiveness from that showcase that I can't ignore. Doesn't supersede the whole fact that they failed at more important marks, but there was a little bit of effectiveness there that, if I'm being fair and coming down the middle, I can't ignore. The overall message is don't ever do this again, Sony, but there was a little bit of effectiveness there. All right. He also says, yo, you're closing down 2 studios, cancel games, and show us this dog-ish. What are we supposed to think about Sony's situation right now? And then they got a hell of problems and the audacity of Herman to hype up what showed on. Yeah, that was I I think that was just pre-written. And they're going to do that. It does seem like, though, it would have been better to just say thank you for your support and coming out for the show. We are excited to show you what we have, and we look forward to showing you more. I would have just put something like that out there. You see, now, and I thought about that cold blood at the top of my head. So I get what you're saying. I just think that it was pre-written. That's what they already decided they were going to say, no matter what. That's what they normally do. But yeah, there's exceptions to every rule, right? All right. So everybody's mad. I am too, and rightfully so. But there's some accountability that has to be taken here. Let's talk about it. Now, what you've done, PlayStation, is you've essentially, instead of blocking the ball before it went into the hoop, I'm gonna use a basketball analogy. You took the ball, you had an opportunity to block it out of bounds, and you just tossed it up in the air for the opposing player behind you to grab it and slam dunk it in your face or another teammate's face. You pretty much gave them an alley-oop. Now, we're talking about the green team over here. And under this regime, there's no guarantee they're going to do that. They're scrambling together and showing signs that that they feel confident in what they have. And they may feel confident that it's better. It'll land better than PlayStation's, which I don't think that'll be enough for them unless, again, they do something that quote unquote lands better than what PlayStation did, and they can announce that Starfield is 60. If Starfield ain't 60 frames per second on the console, it's a wrap. That's unless they got a crazy game that will outshine Starfield exclusive to Xbox, and it's coming this year. You know, and they showcase it. You know what I mean? If they ain't got that, they can forget it. So they say, okay, so now all right, so they've essentially alley-ooped it to the competition. PlayStation didn't do its job, therefore the competition could potentially score big with this. It's not a guarantee though. Here's the possible scenarios. Here's a scenario first that we're accustomed to. That competition grabs that alley-oop, but they go to dunk it and they get arched. Meaning the ball doesn't go through the hoop, it just bounces off the rim and they still end up losing. They end up embarrassing themselves and having a worse showcase than what PlayStation had. And for the green team, that's not far-fetched. That's not, even though they're posturing too. They're selling movie tickets and all this stuff, right? But we'll see. Here's a scenario that I hope happens. I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope this happens. I hope they take that alley-oop and they slam the shit out of it right in PlayStation's face with a great showcase with some tangible outcomes, some games that we haven't seen, some gameplay that amazes. You know what I'm saying? Some stuff that we wouldn't expect. I hope they slam the shit out of it in PlayStation's face. That's the best scenario. Why? Because it stuffs it in the face of PlayStation's arrogance for not having a better showcase or feeling like they need to have a better showcase. I'll get into that in a little bit. And then also still sharpen steel. If Microsoft finally learned their lesson and they're really willing to rev up and prove all the doubters like me wrong, I'm for it. I am for it. We are not beholden to any one system. Even if I have a preference and you see me out there bragging and boasting for that preference, We play everything that we feel like is worth our time. Now, granted, this generation is the first generation where I'm doing without both major platforms. I don't have a current generation Team Green box in my house. I just don't, there's not a point why. But if they can change my mind, I'm all for it. That's going to make gaming better for me and you. Still sharp and still. But here's the worst scenario. This scenario is worse than Team Green getting arched. They do the bare minimum to satisfy their fan base and get them excited, which doesn't take much. And so then they can go on Twitter and like, yeah, we're happier than what you were, right? And they can sit there and say things like Starfield is going to be 60 frames per second. You know what I'm saying? Like, say if Starfield 60 frames per second and they have they have their version of a 7 rated showcase. Oh, they're going to make that 7 seem like a 95. Because the sentiment would have been Xbox gamers would have gotten what they wanted. They would have gotten 60 frames per second for Starfield, and they would have gotten an opportunity to show that they belong on the same stage with Sony, at least, even if they don't surpass them. They're going to make it seem like it surpasses them, but even if it doesn't, as long as it's even, if it's balanced in the vicinity. Yeah, we belong on the stage with Sony. The argument was starting to become they don't belong on the stage with Sony. So if that's the bare minimum, not the bare minimum, if they perform to the bare minimum, and that's the best we get from them, they're going to turn that into a W. It's going to be a back and forth on Twitter, and the can of, look, Xbox, I'm sorry, Green Team, when are y'all going to start producing genre-defining stellar stuff? That's going to continue to be kicked down the can. We're going to keep playing this fanboy war. That's the worst scenario. At least with the scenario that we're accustomed to, that the Green Team drops the ball, gets arched, it's now definitive. Okay, they're not serious. Gamers know how to where to spend their money, or more preferably, where not to spend their money. However, if they put up smoke and mirrors, and simply because it was on the same level presentation wise with Sony's poor offering, and they can just announce some minuscule tangible that keeps them alive, and that's the best you get, then we're just going to get more of the same. PlayStation gamers know they're getting some dope games at the end of the year. So really, after a minimum type of showcase like that from Xbox, all they're going to do is go back to the Twitter wars. And we got this, and we're playing this, and Marvel Spider-Man, with no look into 2014. And all Xbox gamers are going to do is say, well, Starfield is going to be 60 frames per second. And yeah, our showcase was better than yours, when it really wasn't, or if it was marginally. And we still ain't going to get a glimpse from Microsoft when their shit is going to come out. It's going to be more of the same. You'll see more CGI stuff, or even if you know when it's coming out, there's you got it in question. What's the quality going to be? Because Microsoft is great at creating pillow talk. They're not great at putting a product in a sufficient product in your hand. So if all they do is create pillow talk to invigorate their zealots and their fanboys, and then PlayStation people go back and say, oh well, we're getting this game. It's more status quo. And for those of us that ain't really in no console war, we're just looking for great games, and we're trying to poke the fence wherever we can to help be a catalyst to those great titles as consumers. we lose. Now, the rumor is, and the reason why I kept referring to PlayStation as being arrogant, is I've heard from credible sources behind the scenes, very credible sources. And now there's reports of it coming out, but I just haven't said anything, that Sony had more to show. And I'm going to say this, even though I've never said it before, I'm just not going to say who told me, because I was sworn to secrecy about this. But now that it's out there in the public, I'm going to say it, because I was told this a couple of years ago. So apparently, PlayStation has been talking to a variety of people. I'll just say that. They've been talking to a variety of people out of their own personal necessities, and they've been showing them things that have been coming down the pike, including games. Because these are people that they're working with, and they need to show, you know, there's a reason for them showing them this stuff. And so I've had conversations with these people on other platforms and other things too, behind the scenes. And they didn't want to talk about the stuff that we were supposed to be talking about. They didn't want to do it. All they wanted to talk about was PlayStation. And at the time, I was the least bit interested in talking about PlayStation. I mean, I had my console, my PlayStation 5. I would, you know, I there was confidence that they would start delivering at some point in time. But as far as the PlayStation backdrop 5 allure, at that moment, I wasn't interested in it. But that's all they wanted to talk about. These people were so hyped up about the definitive stuff that they were shown. That's all they could talk about was PlayStation. Now, I can't tell you what. And I'm not going to make it seem like they like, well, this is coming up, that. No. What they made abundantly clear is that what you saw in the, what's it called? Now, I know I see some zealots out there, oh, this is cap. Just say your stuff isn't ready. No. Stuff is presentable. Like, to say stuff isn't ready to show, that's an ignorant comment. You can have an incomplete. There are fake games out there that you can show. You know what I'm saying? There's been fake. You can show anything. And we've had games that were shown, or concepts that were shown of games that were hardly complete. Hell, there are titles out there that are further along than the game that we see from Haven, than the game that the other Firewalk. There's games that are further along than them that something could have been put together for and could have been shown to address the concerns that people have after the showcase. They just refuse not to do it. I had that on very good authority from people that I've worked with, who I've talked to, who have yet to tell me anything wrong. So I believe it. And some of these people, they were telling me this stuff for years. They were like, man, and I can't get any more specific than that, because that would narrow down the event where they were shown this stuff, and then that would pinpoint for Sony, and I don't want to get people in trouble, because they didn't really tell me too much. They just said, no, there's some, and My sentiment in return was, so that's why you started seeing a lot of devs that were coming out early talking about, oh, there's some stuff coming from PlayStation that really is going to make the machine, unbelievable. That's why there were people just coming out saying it, and people were not paying them any attention because they're like, okay, what? You're going to make a comment like that? What? What is it? You're just talking out the side of your mouth. And I get it. I totally get it. I was having conversations with with people that worked on different things, that developed certain things that were used cross-platform. I'll put it like that. They developed certain things cross-platform, who would have to be shown this stuff. And they were like, yeah. There's a reason, there's a legit reason why people were saying that. And now that the reports were out that stuff was held back, oh yeah, I totally believe it. I totally believe it. And it's not because stuff ain't ready to show. People have shown fake stuff. There's stuff that's beyond the level of concept. It's actually being developed, and they show it. Hell, what's that Ubisoft game? Beyond Good and Evil 2. They've gone through like 5 different renditions. They've showed stuff, right? It's just that it was from a prior rendition. So even when it comes to the conceptual level, like you saw with Haven's game, you saw even with Wolverine, there's stuff out there that they could show. They just don't want to talk about it at all. And I don't get why. And I don't get why at this level of quietness. Like, you definitely didn't show enough. But there's a reason why, regardless if I understand their reason or not, which I don't care about because I'm paying you money on the expectations that you will continue to deliver. That's how it works in the console world. I could care less what's best for you, but y'all made it this way. Y'all did this. How did y'all do this? Talking to you too, Cold Blood. How did y'all do this? I'll get into that in a second. I'm gonna read a couple of comments and then I'm gonna put y'all on blast. Cold Blood said, I'd rather have Herman say the Philness line if he is excited for the ish he didn't show us yet. Haven Games was the biggest disappointment of the entire show. I expected more after Sony bought them. Yeah, what you gotta understand, Cold Blood, is that's likely the best they could do. When did they just got bought? Haven Games just got bought. Sony buys Haven, or Sony partners with Haven. Let me see. Haven. Let me put Haven Studios formed. When was Haven? Okay, so Haven wasn't formed until February of 2021. That was 2 years ago. What you got to understand, Cold Blood, is that, oh, come on, you got to, I'm apparently I'm doing a show, bro, if I'm not answering the phone. Hold on one second. Let me make sure this dude isn't outside, because he's known for showing up. Where's my camera? See if he's outside. I hate when people do that, by the way. No, he ain't outside. Okay, cool. Don't just show up to my house. Like, call me. I'm on my way. That's all you gotta do. Or send a text. I'm on my way. Don't just show up. Anywho, I could be butt ass naked in some party socks playing spades with some orangutans for all you know. And don't just I hate that shit. But anywho, I'm sorry. I'm on one today. That being said, yeah, okay. Yeah, what you got to remember, Cold Blood, is that Haven was just formed in 2021. And even when they were formed, they didn't know what they were going to develop. Because like the other studio, I forget their name, that or developers that were owned, I mean, not owned, but they were part of Stadia. They were part of SG&E. There were still negotiations going on about the contracts that they would, about the content they would be allowed. Like Jade Raymond did some serious work on a multiplayer for Stadia. So she was wondering what assets she could get from them, and they had to figure out what they could or could not work out. So really, they had something conceptually that they wanted to work on. Did Stadia give it to them? I don't know. Probably not. I know they gave the other company, Journey to the Savage Planet, I forget what their names, Raccoon City, I think their names is now. But when they were the other company, I know they gave them all their stuff back. But Jade Raymond was working on something for SG&E. It wasn't like Haven was bought by SG&E, and like Haven was formed after the fact. So did she get the concept for what she was working on? I mean, if it wasn't too embedded with the Stadia tech that they didn't want to share with anybody at that moment, because at that moment in 2021, they were still invested in the platform, that could have hamstrung her. And she would have had to start from scratch. So the fact that this is all she has right now in 2 years of just the company being formed, and you got to remember too, Cold Blood, that everybody that she needed to work on this project, they weren't available yet. They were still under contract with Stadia. They had to go and do some stuff for them to help synergize projects there. They just let Jade Raymond and some other guy go. I forget the Philip guy. I think they just let them go so they can at least start the studio, get the business together. But they didn't have a team to start developing until several months later. So you can't even really say 2 years. So I'm not surprised that there's nothing there. Then you have the Firewalker team, who maybe even got a later start than them. I don't have a problem with them. What I have a problem with is that I had conversations with people in 2021 who told me about stuff they saw before 2021 that they were shown then. So this is before Haven. This is before Firewalker Studios were even in question. And so then, if you in 2021 saw stuff that's further along than Haven and Firewalker, and you were able to put it in a presentation, now granted, it may not have been as crispy as clean as a consumer needed it to be, because they're working on technical stuff, these people that I'm talking to, maybe it was in an exciting way for them that would land differently from us, but you still were further along with something than they were, and they were able to come out and show something. Something's not right there. And I chalk it up to arrogance. I could be wrong. Did all that stuff get canceled? I doubt it. Again, I don't know what it was. I don't know what was seen. The people that have saw it, including the ones that are out there talking publicly now about knowing that there's additional stuff out there, they're talking in a way to where they don't believe it was canceled. They believe it's still there. It's just not being shown. So with that being said, why does PlayStation think they can get away with this? Because you told them so. You told them so. How did you tell them so? Let me explain how. By telling them that periodic accountability wasn't necessary. What am I talking about? If you haven't guessed it already, I'm talking about E3. Yeah. By you telling Sony, you know what? Y'all keep having these bad showcases, man, and the Xbots are giving it to us when we have these bad showcases like they are now. Whenever we have these bad showcases, it gets them so hopeful. We don't want them to have any hopes. Why don't y'all, man, stop having showcases? But y'all sitting there saying that, and Sony actually doing that, by you worrying about scratching some fanboy itch about what some losing platform is saying on Twitter, you've now wiped away all levels of effective accountability that said platform would provide. What am I talking about? I get it, and shout out to Jeff Keighley for doing this. I know he loves video games. It's going to be fun to watch. Cool. But this Summer Games Fest does not compare in the level of accountability that an E3 does. What am I talking about? When you go to a Summer's Games Fest, you're simply just showing roll after roll after roll of games. And there's really no competitive accountability there. It's like the basis on the show. Was Summer Games Fest dope? Oh, well, Summer Games Fest good. Like, it's all within the realm of what does Summer Games Fest show you? But when you create a dynamic where there's a showcase that lasts long enough for all the competitive entities to go at it against each other and go at it as hard as they can to tell you why you need to spend your dollar on them, not to just showcase stuff. But they're trying to convince you in their presentations why you need to spend your money on them. Then you have a dynamic that keeps all parties accountable. And y'all did this by saying that they don't need to be at E3. By them not needing to be at E3, they ain't shown shit in 2 years. Y'all have no flipping clue what's coming down the pike. And they were still able to profit. They're outselling the PlayStation 4, where they were showing E3s. They're outselling the PlayStation 4, where they were showing E3s. They're outselling the PlayStation 4, in case you didn't hear me, where they were showing E3s at a much faster rate. So you sent the signal to them, you ain't got to play all your cards for me. I'm still going to buy the shit anyway. And therefore, they're sitting there saying, well, if they're still going to buy the shit anyway, all we got to do is present something decent. So we still got games coming out. And when we feel comfortable, we'll show the game. We're going to hold on to it like our strongest Pokemon card until the final moment. When we feel comfortable, we'll show the game. That creates a totally different dynamic than E3, where do you think at E3, any of these platform holders felt like they were ready? Do you guys listen to the horror stories of E3 and how sometimes they dummy up or mock up presentations or whatever because they got to show you something, and whatever they show you, it has to be representative of the final product in some achievable realm. So they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off. They got to figure out something. And that keeps them accountable because they got to start from a good place in order to at least show you something. And that something, more often than not, has to be gameplay. Yeah, there's CGI trailers at E3, but there's the expectancy that, oh man, you gotta show something serious because you don't know if the person that comes on after you is going to show something. See, that's the dynamic that is lost when you tell an arrogant company like PlayStation they don't need to come to E3. They don't know if the competition is going to show something, so they better have something. Because if the competition then grabs your attention, that's where your dollars are going this holiday season, opposed to them. Opposed to creating a showcase, where it kind of like strokes the mane of people that already have a PlayStation. Kind of talks to some mainstream gamers or casual gamers on the fence. And if it doesn't land well with the hardcore, whatever. Because we don't have the voice that we have anymore because it's on the internet. Mainstream gamers aren't coming to Twitter. This is what y'all don't understand. Mainstream gamers are not coming to Twitter. The only place they're coming to is YouTube. They're watching the video and then they're going about their business. And they're saying to themselves, Dragon Dogma and Alan Wake 2 and the Splatoon fake game, that's all coming to PlayStation. Okay, cool. But at E3, guess who controls E3? Us. The hardcore gamer. We design the messaging. And if we determine something is trash, that reverberates with everybody. It's trash. You've essentially cut off your voice to have the influence that you had just to satisfy a rich conglomerate company. You cut off your nose and spite your face, and now you're paying for it, and you're mad at them, which you should be, but you should also be mad at yourself. I told y'all for years, everybody needs to show up to E3 or some type of equivalent like a Gamescom or something like that, where the big news is coming from the hardcore gamers. Yeah, this is causing some clicks on Twitter here and there, but it's causing stuff on Twitter that mainstream gamers aren't going to see. Our voice was E3. Our voice was a stage where we told them, you got to compete, where we kind of forced a Hunger Games amongst these conglomerates and forced them to battle it out for our dollar, and we told the world how well they done. You threw that away because it didn't make them look good. Who cares how they look? Y'all did this along with them. Shame on Sony for being so arrogant and not wanting to provide for their gamers. But a company is only going to do what a company has to do. They're selling more PlayStations than they ever have. You're on Twitter doing the nonprofit work and you don't know what's coming. Because you told them accountability doesn't matter. We're just going to assume that you're always going to outperform that box across the street. And now that the gap is so wide and they've got themselves so anchored to when they can turn it up when they want to, not when they have to, when they want to. And now they want to exercise their power and say, well, you know what? We're going to call it a showcase. We're going to give it that big pocket appeal. We're going to actually have the audacity to show up in your stomping grounds, hardcore gamer, and tell you, get ready, get excited. Yeah, this is going to be the shiznick. We're going to do all that and thumb our nose at you. Because we're only satisfying the casual and the mainstream with this. You set this up this way. Never tell a Fortune 500 company they don't have to be accountable to you. I've been telling y'all this for years. So I don't feel bad. I'm upset, but I don't feel bad for y'all. I don't, because y'all don't listen. I got to start treating y'all like my kids. Dad, I know you told me not to spend my rent money on this, that, and the other, but I had to go see, you know what I'm saying, this, that. I had to go see NBA YoungBoy. I'm sorry. You got $50. Click. Sweetheart don't answer the phone. So-and-so was calling. They ain't paid their rent. They went to go see NBA YoungBoy. No, we ain't got that to do. Or they don't tell you where they was at, but you know because they put it all over Facebook. And even though they don't let you follow them on Facebook, you know people that they do follow, and they tell you, oh yeah, I saw your daughter at so-and-so concert, twerking it up. Click. I gotta start treating y'all like my kids, man. Y'all don't listen. I told y'all, do not give any company, even a company that is at a time or not producing or performing as well as Sony, don't ever make them feel comfortable. Never. They need to always feel uncomfortable. Always. There always has to be some angst somewhere as far as satisfying you. We're creating buzz with this. Buzz. But do you understand how devastating this would be if Sony had to go to an E3 and they tried to pull this at an E3? Do you understand how devastating this would be? It's actually worse to me. This may sound crazy, but hear me out. And then I'm going to go to the comments. It's actually worse to me, the proposition that they have stuff to show, but they're just choosing not to show it yet. If you don't have the stuff yet, if you're struggling, I get it. That's different. It's a shame that you're not savvy enough, like how Sean Layton and them was last generation, to kind of like keep you at bay until you do have the opportunity to show it. But that's a you problem. But it's not as bad as having the stuff and saying, you know what? I'm in such a comfortable position that even though you, the consumer, you want it, I ain't gotta skip to your loo. See, here's why, and after this I'm gonna shut up because I've done enough screaming. Hopefully someone clips it or memes it or whatever, and y'all get the point. There's a specific reason why I, with my multi-decade business experience, sitting in a lot of these boardrooms, talking to these people, understanding how they're trying to break down your psychology and trying to figure out how they can extract the most out of you by doing the least. That's what every Fortune 500 company does. They look at how can they get the most out of you by doing the least. And you got to understand that. Let's just say, even if you don't have a typical white collar business experience, say you had a lemonade stand. Now you got an opportunity. You got an opportunity to make two types of lemonade. You got an opportunity to make a lemonade that is the best out there. You know it's the best or whatever. But you could charge, it's so good you could charge $3 a glass for it, or you could charge $4 a glass for it. But by all the stuff that it takes to make that lemonade, you calculate that it costs you $3 a glass to make. So you're only making $1 per glass, even though it's known as the best lemonade, right? Or you can make another lemonade, not as good as the best, but it's really refreshing and really tasty. And you charge $3 for that one, but it only takes you 75 cents to make. And you can get away with not having the best output in the lemonade. And you actually will make more money for it. Wouldn't you go and sell the lemonade for $3? Even though you're making you're getting more of a profit per lemonade sold. And again, it's not that bad. It actually tastes good. It's just not as good as this premium lemonade. But at $3 a cup, it's more affordable and you're making more money. So, of course you would. It's a knee-jerk reaction. Everybody's always trying to squeeze the most that they can. But what makes it worse for a Fortune 500 company is that the biggest draw to a Fortune 500 company isn't you, the consumer. It's the investor. The investor is what keeps the lights on. You just are a tool to bring the investors in. The investors put in their money based upon your consumption, and that's how they make their money. So you're a tool more or less to draw in the investor. The real key is the investor. So whenever you tell a Fortune 500 company, these measures of accountability, you don't need them. You don't need to do them. It's too much. You are then creating a dynamic where they can completely ignore you and just do what's good for the investor. You never want that to happen. Hopefully everybody learned a very valuable lesson. There needs to be some level of accountability in PlayStation showcasing the top-notch shit they got coming. Because the way I hear it, it can be shown. Stop giving them easy outs because of BS discussions on Twitter. Who cares? Most of those people that are on Twitter, they don't play games. They're not playing games. They're playing talk. Who cares what they have to say? They're always going to damage control. Who cares? Always have a reasonable line of accountability, because without it, when it comes to a Fortune 500 company, as we've been telling you for years, you create the dynamic where they ignore you and they only focus on the investor. Look at it. PlayStation 5 now starting to trend to outpace the PlayStation 4. And they ain't been accountable like they have in other generations. What type of signal are you? And you're actually sitting out here rooting them on for not having to be accountable to you. And the one time that you really want them to be accountable because you want them to kill Xbox, they don't do what you want them to do. Of course, they haven't done things that specific in your favor for years, and they've gotten away with it. And again, I'm not saying this to say Xbox is better at this. No, they've been more frequent, but they've been more frequent in showing you trash. I'm just saying all this because for those that don't live and die and did a blood oath to a platform, the state of AAA genre defining gaming is in trouble. Like, somebody's going to have to do what they're supposed to do. You got one group that can't output to save their lives, and you got another group that don't, just like, I ain't got to show you what I got. Give me $1. Give me $1. I ain't got to show you nothing. Give me your money. All right. Let's read these last few comments and then we're going to wrap it up. Get ready for our stream. He says, mainstream gamers are everywhere on Twitter. And that what the hell are you talking about? The community was compromised a long time ago by Xbox ambassadors who don't play games. No. That's not mainstream gamers. Let me give you an example, Cold Blood. A mainstream gamer ain't sitting there listening to a podcast. A mainstream gamer ain't going to gaming Twitter. They might be on Twitter for other stuff. They're not coming to gaming Twitter. I got zillions of friends that play games. I do a podcast. This person does a podcast. They ain't trying to hear that stuff. They could care less about podcasts or the nerdistry with gaming. They just want to know what games are coming out. So they go to IGN. They may watch a YouTube video from PlayStation or Xbox. That's it. That's the overwhelming majority of gamers. It's not. We make up a minority, Cold Blood. I hate to tell you this, brother. We make up a minority of gamers. Most gamers don't do this. Most gamers only pick up 2 games a year. They only have 9 games in their collection. Does that sound like you and me? No. That's the average gamer. And the average gamer is not going and listening to a podcast. They're not going on gaming Twitter. They're not coming here to Twitch. They're not even coming to Twitch. There's a lot of us hardcore gamers to where we can make things like Twitch and YouTube gaming successful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's not a lot of us, but there's just a lot more of them. Way more than us. And they don't care about any of this stuff. They don't. That's who and all they're looking to do is hurt them because we're the ones with the bigger set of standards. We want to see these showcases. We want to see this stuff. We're the ones with the biggest standards. When E3 was around, our standards set the rules. Now, without E3, you let PlayStation go to the mainstream to set the rules, and they ignore us. And then, like you said it yourself. They have the audacity to come on Twitter and say this was a great show and all because it lands well with mainstream gamers, and they can ignore us. We'll get to y'all later. We just put out our press numbers. We just did our financials. And now we're going to go to our biggest constituency, the mainstream gamers, and we can do something that will appeal to them and say, oh, the hell with y'all hardcore gamers. And y'all be mad at us for a little bit. This is why I call it arrogance. Y'all be mad at us for a little bit. But when we show y'all something in a couple of months or at Summer's Games Fest, y'all forget all about it and go back and use that as ammo to argue on Twitter. That's the dynamic y'all set up. Y'all did this. He says, so if you know they got ish to show, give me an example, because at this point, Jeff Grubb and them dog insiders were. No. Here, I'm Cold Blood. I'm glad you brought that up, because I almost forgot. Hold on 1 second. Let me blow my nose. Okay, so we can't wrap up just yet. I'm glad Cold Blood said that. I'm glad he said that, because that was a part that I didn't have in my show that I said, you got to remember MM, and I almost forgot it. All right, so when it comes to what people were saying about the show, that was like, oh, you need to look out. You need to watch out for what's coming on the show. you got to understand there were two different messages there. Message one was, I know essentially what PlayStation has yet to show, period. And because I know what PlayStation has yet to show, and they're now doing a showcase, and they've now decided to do the showcase right before the Xbox showcase, which is an atypical Sony move to steal the spotlight from Microsoft and then put the pressure on them because they killed it. Y'all should expect to see some crazy things, some stuff that's going to make y'all jump out of y'all seat. They're basing that off of just generally what they know PlayStation got that they have yet to show. But then there was another group of people that were claiming to know specifically what was in the show. They was trying to make it seem this way. Yeah, I know what's going to be in the show, and it's going to be dope. It's going to be this and it's going to be that. Now, those people in Part B were liars. Now, honestly, I'm nothing against Jeff Grubb. I don't know which camp Jeff Grubb is in. I don't know if he's in Camp A or Camp B. Camp A generally knows what PlayStation has yet to show. They didn't know what was in the show, but they're like, look, man, I know what y'all ain't. I know what Pokemon cards you ain't showed yet. You only got 15 cards left. And I know 10 of those cards are like fire that's going to win this match. So expect to see some stuff. That's the mind state that the people I'm talking about were in. They weren't claiming that Sony had some stuff lined up for the show and they yanked it, or they knew what the show structure was and Sony changed it. They know what Sony has in the deck. And their expectation was reasonably, like anybody else's expectations would be under that scenario, is that PlayStation ain't really shown nothing in a couple of years now, and this ain't a state of play. This is a showcase, and they're out here telling people to be excited. Oh, they must be getting ready to show that stuff finally. That's what they're saying. Those people I wholeheartedly believe, because they've been telling me about stuff that's going to be shown for years. Now, the people B, they were liars. And let me tell you, I'm gonna give you guys a scenario, and I want you, and nobody could debunk me saying this, because I've thrown this out in various circles. Here's what I think happened in some circles. I think a lot of us got okey-doked when it came to the show. Remember Jazz Gordon was out there, and Jazz was like, oh man. And he wasn't slick in doing this, but again, because y'all gamers don't be paying attention, and I love y'all, but y'all don't be paying attention to stuff. Y'all don't be catching patterns like your boy. Remember when Jazz was out there and he was like, oh, man, I heard what the PlayStation showcase was going to be like, and it's going to be dope. It's going to be fire. Oh, man, I'm sick and tired of waiting out and all this, right? He went and set that precedent. I don't know everything, but I know what was out there. Right. And then he went out there and he leaked that, Snake Eater is coming. Right. Snake Eater is coming. It's coming to Microsoft too, but Snake Eater is coming. He leaked that. Right. Now, had we not known Snake Eater was coming and it was shown on PlayStation, we would have eventually found out it was coming for Xbox, but that would have had a serious impact for that show. It would have. It wouldn't have changed the dynamic too much, but it would have been favorable towards the show, right? He leaked that knowing the impact that it would have had, and I wholeheartedly believe that people at Xbox got access to the show somehow in advance and found out that it was trash, except for these few things. They looked at the thing that they felt like they could damage control, or that they couldn't damage control, and that would have the biggest impact. And they went and somebody leaked it, So I'll do y'all a favor. We're going to leak it. And that's why Snake Eater got leaked. And if you notice, as soon as the show was over, Xbox had a graphic with 12 games that were in the show that were coming out on Xbox 2. Now, how would they know to do that and have that graphic have it ready? How would they know what specific games to have ready that fast to create that graphic unless they knew the show in advance? Trust me, if Jazz Gordon knew what was in the show, so did Xbox. We got okey doked. Look, Jazz Gordon is out there right now. Not even Tom Warren isn't even doing this. So y'all know how I feel about Tom Warren and his inability to really dig for the facts and make that the narrative. He kind of like shoots from the hip too much and try to make his shooting from the hip the facts. But even Tom Warren had enough intuition and common sense not to run with this conflict of interest CMA story. He knows how bogus that is. He's not running with it. But at the same time that Jazz Gordon is pretending that he saw the showcase and he liked it, he's leaking Snake Eater, and he's sitting there running with this ridiculous story about the CMA, which is not what Tom Warren even said. It's a nothing burger. Do you think someone like a Jazz Gordon with that type of integrity, and we've had to bust his ass before when he was talking that stupid stuff about Stadia and Destiny too. You think somebody with the integrity of Jazz Gordon didn't go back to, let's just say if he did get it leaked to him first, you don't think Jazz went back to Xbox and showed them the thing and said, you know what, this really ain't that impressive. Here are the things that are impressive, and I bet if I leak Snake Eater and y'all get ready to talk about these games as soon as they, you know what I'm saying, that we can completely diffuse the effect of the showcase, along with it just not being as good as it needs to be anyway. So I'm saying people don't be paying attention to stuff. I gotta check out patterns at work. That's how I keep my lights on. I'm used to seeing this stuff. And people laugh when I give out my scenarios. And then when the dust settles and everything that I freaking said was behind it is behind it. Xbox knew what was in that show, and they prepared for it. And then now they got theaters lined up. They just wanted to double check and make sure that it was landing bad. And it landed worse than their wildest imaginations. It landed worse than their wildest imaginations. So now what happens? They keep throwing out the showcase. Now theaters are going to have it. That's too much of a coincidence. Jazz Gordon, oh man, I heard the PlayStation show was dope. But he's going to leak Snake Eater, right? He leaked Snake Eater. It's dope. But he got confirmation on that. Like, come on, bro. No, it's too much of a coincidence. Again, I'm not making an excuse. I'm not, for anybody that's going to try to clip this and make it sound like I'm saying that Xbox ruined it. No, PlayStation, regardless of what Xbox did, PlayStation didn't do their job, period. They didn't do their job, period. I'm just saying, as far as people that were sitting there saying, oh, this show was going to be dope, you got to understand, those people go into two groups. Group A were the people that just generally know what PlayStation has yet to show. And they just made the assumption of PlayStation is going to start showing some of this stuff and they're going to start knocking y'all socks off. We can't wait. Because they've been chiming to me behind the scenes. They ain't told me specifically what, but they've been chiming to me behind the scenes. And they know what I like. They know I like that AAA genre defining stuff. That's all I talk about. So they know not to come to me and tell me about fizzle, chisel, tizzle popper. They know that's not what they have yet to show. It's genre defining stuff. And they know I'm going to get excited about it. So they were sitting there like, oh, yeah, it's coming, bruh. It's coming. Just based off of the knowledge of what PlayStation has to show. I think those people were being genuine, and they just, just PlayStation just found a way. Just put, nah, not yet, buddy. Just push them in the face, and nah, not yet. But then there's Group B, who some people were just flat out lying. Some PlayStation fanboys were just flat out lying and making up stuff. Yeah, this game is going, this showcase is going to be dope. They were speaking to specifics. And either they had those specifics and they have poor taste and actually thinking that this was going to be dope. Like even with Snake Eater being released, those wouldn't have had lasting effects because it's multi-plat. So if there was anybody that genuinely saw the show in advance and genuinely thought that it would be dope, I mean, let's look at it. Let's take a look at it. Let me do this. Let me make this complete. Go all the way down. Let's genuinely look at it. There was 35 games shown, right? Like, look at this list. I mean, the list is long, but looking at this list, I'm not looking at this list and I'm amazed. I'm not sitting there creaming my shorts. I'm not getting creamy knuckled about this. Just even going through it, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of stuff here, but what is this? And if I do my research and look it up, okay, Metal Gear Solid Snakey, like maybe what it was is there could have genuinely been some people that saw the Haven game and some of these other games that were out here and didn't see any footage. Maybe they saw a list. That's possible. Maybe they saw a list of games. Maybe the list got leaked. They saw that list and assumed that the footage would be that much better when it wasn't. Or could have just, or they could have seen the footage and it got leaked. I don't think what it could have been is, because even looking at this list, I'm still not impressed. What is going on? Looking at this list, I'm not impressed. I'm not. You could have some people that have bad taste, looked at that list and made bad assumptions. Oh, they're going to finally show Haven's game. Maybe that's what they thought. But you got to look at it like this too, y'all. Haven's game, Firewalker and game, and the new Bungie game, those are all multiplayer-esque games. It is cool to see Sony get into multiplayer games with stable entities behind them, but that's not why the hardcore gamer has a PlayStation. That's not the, I mean, that's cool that you're now spreading your wings, but even if they show gameplay, I don't think that's winning the day towards PlayStation. You need to show Phantom Blade. You need to have a mix. You need to show more Phantom Blades and games like that. Alan Wake 2 being, look, you could have done well in making Alan Wake 2 exclusive. You probably should have bought Remedy. You know what I'm saying? You probably should have bought them. Because Alan Wake 2 looks fire. And Remedy, I don't know of a bad game from Remedy. Like people say Quantum Leap or Break was bad. I don't think it was bad. Was it stellar? No, but I don't think it was bad. And you understand the confusion around the game and the expectations were all over the place because of the poor leadership at Microsoft. They didn't know what they wanted. They wanted an episodic game, then not an episode. That's not Remedy's fault. Now, had you bought Remedy and had Alan Wake 2 there as an exclusive, that could have went a long way too. But those are the type of games that are winning the day for Sony. It's cool to have the service type games, but even if I'm looking at this list, I'm looking at those service type games. I'm not impressed even if they were going to show gameplay. Maybe some people legitimately looked at that list, was expecting gameplay, and said, oh yeah, Sony's going to kill it, and didn't realize they were getting CGI for a lot of this new stuff. I think that's probably what happened. But I don't think this is the stuff. Again, the Firewalk game, the Bungie game, and the Haven game, those are newer titles that came after apparently what the people I've been talking to saw. That wasn't even included. So that's not even in the equation. So hopefully in a roundabout way I answered your question, Cold Blood. Let me go back. But I'm glad you brought that up, because that was an important point that I wanted to point out, is that you had a subsect of people out there that were purposely falsifying their enthusiasm for it to get us even more hyped. And I'm not mad at them for it. It is what it is. I don't trust those entities anyway, so I don't listen to them. Hopefully that's a sign to y'all to stop listening to them. I don't listen to them. But it was an okie doke. They got leaked the list. They probably got leaked footage too. They then probably said, you know what? This ain't all that impressive. And to make matters worse, let's leak out Metal Gear Snake Eater. And let's get our pick ready. Sorry for that mic hit. To show the games that are in the showcase that people might say, "Oh, this is dope." Let's get the games to show that they're coming to us anyway. Even though people still would have looked at that showcase and been upset. But to make matters worse, to kick you in your face and knock your teeth out while you're knocked out on the ground is these games are coming to Xbox anyway. So anything that you saw that was vaguely interesting, it doesn't matter. We're getting it too. Cold Blood says, so if you know they got, okay, give me an example. He said, for me, anything that opens its mouth about games but don't play them is a mainstream gamer. Well, that's not how Sony sees it. That's not how Sony sees it. Mainstream gamers are the gamers that are the ones that are picking up Call of Duty at mass, Fortnite at mass, you know what I'm saying, Roblox or whatever, and they're playing those type of games regularly. They don't get on the internet and search. They might be Roblox fans, you know, and they might be in the Minecraft. Like, I'm gonna give you a prime example, Cold Blood. My youngest son, he's a mainstream gamer. He wants to get into podcasting and he wants to do all this stuff, but he doesn't know anything. And my oldest son, both of them, they're mainstream gamers. 90% of their time is spent playing Call of Duty and Fortnite. They're not really into the sports games. But they'll play Call of Duty and Fortnite. And then what my oldest son, every now and again, he likes a good action game. He'll go grab a Far Cry, or he grabbed the Dead Island 2. You know, where my youngest son, he plays Minecraft, and he might do some CS:GO. You know what I'm saying? They might try stuff, but there's those two. They only get 2 games a year. Those are the 2 games that they're playing, and those 2 games are normally just an extension of a franchise that they only play, or they play for the majority of the time. And they only have 9 games in their catalog, which there's probably 9 different years of Call of Duty, 9 different years of FIFA. Those are mainstream gamers. Now, let me tell you what's on Twitter, Cold Blood. Fake gamers. Because even mainstream gamers, like I'll call up my son, he's playing a video game every day. I'll call up my oldest son. He's playing a video game every day. I'll call up my cousin who knows I'm doing a podcast. I was like, man, you're a funny dude, man. We should do a show together. You know a little bit about games. You know what I'm saying? Just read these articles. He's like, man, get the out of here, man. He's playing video games every day. But then you got the people that are out here. They ain't playing no games. None. Zilch. Nada. They're playing nothing. Cold Blood. But they're talking about games every day. Those aren't mainstream gamers. Those are fake gamers. They're just here because they want to belong. They want to argue. And we are so accepting in this community. Like, you don't have to show no stripes. Like, there's some people that they tried to make you show stripes by showing your gamer score, but then, oh, you're harassing me. Oh. All right, well, if you don't want to show your gamer score, where's your streams at the very least? Oh, you're harassing me. Oh. Like, this is the only hardcore community where you can sit there and say that you're part of it, but you show no aptitude that you're actually doing what the people in this community do. You can literally play like some of your favorite people out here, they literally play no games. I play games 5-6 days a week. And we try to stream me playing something every day. And the days where I'm not streaming something, I got it recorded. Now, most of my recordings don't go out there because I messed them up. I botched them somehow. But I got all types of recordings out there. Somebody was sitting there like, yeah, you don't even play PlayStation. And I said, I play PlayStation more than you play anything. Pull your streams out, because I'll put mines out there. I got a crap load of streams that I've never released because I wanted them to be the 4K version, and my whole thing with my capture card didn't work right, or just something just went wrong. You know what I'm saying? It was supposed to be no commentary, and I didn't mute my mic, and you hear me yelling at my wife and saying all types of nasty stuff to her, what I'm gonna do to her. So I had to leave it private. What else? One of the things, the biggest mistakes that I made it again the other day, is my desktop audio. I always forget to mute it when I'm running OBS, so when I'm playing music in the background, it'll double and it'll sound real weird, and it messes up the whole stream. So I got a lot of, I play, like I said, I play games 5-6 times a week, and I'm at the point now to where I don't even care if I'm playing on my phone. I record it. I record when I'm even on my phone now. So I got evidence that I play games. But most of these people, they don't, Cold Blood, they're not like you and I. They're not playing games. And I know you play more games than I do. Or you put, at the very least, yeah, you play more games and you put more hours in it. I may play every day, but I might only be able to squeeze out an hour or two, where you might be doing some hardcore sessions. But you got people out here, they don't play no games, bruh. They might play a game twice a month, but they on YouTube, Twitter every day. That's our community, man. I hate to say it. I hate to say it, bro. That's our community. When I say community, I mean that's the gaming community. Most of these mugs don't play no games, bro. Cold Blood, don't forget, not too long ago, these fake gamers were saying, oh man, why I gotta play a game in order to review it? You had bugs reviewing games, bruh, and they didn't play them. They was watching them on YouTube, and they was trying to excuse that. Who does that? This is the only community where you're not required to exercise the thing the community is about. You're not. Every other community, you gotta exercise what that community is about. This is the only community you can just come and talk about it. Why? Because we want acceptance so bad. I guess because we want acceptance so bad. I don't know. I thought we were past that. Gaming is more popular than ever. But we want acceptance so bad that literally someone can come in, okay, maybe not show your gamer score, but I don't never see you game. I don't never see, okay, you're never online. Like nothing. I don't see a stream. I don't see a recording. I don't see nothing. Y'all motherfuckers don't game. Never. Oh God, I was supposed to be done an hour ago. Damn you, Cold Blood. So that's what a mainstream gamer is. A mainstream gamer fits the narrative of the average game consumer. And believe it or not, I hate to say it, Cold Blood, the average game consumer only picks up 2 games a year, and they only have about 9 games in their catalog. And it's usually the same 2 games, Madden and FIFA, Fortnite, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. Every now and again, they'll go out of the box and they'll grab a popular game that isn't of the annual franchise that they normally buy. Like my son, he's a prime example. He bought Far Cry. I tried to put him down with Forspoken. I've tried to put him down with a bunch of other nuanced games, Returnal, all that stuff. I game share with him. Did you try that out yet? Horizon Forbidden? No, man, I ain't tried. No, man, no. That's the mainstream gamer, bruh. And as unflavored as that experience is, it's more flavorful than the fake gamer. And unfortunately, we got people showing up to these podcasts 5 days a week, out here tweeting about this and tweeting about that, and people wanting to be paralegals and all that, and they don't play no games, bro. And again, I can sit there and readily admit I'm not the biggest game player out there. I'm not. And I'm not the most zeroed in gamer either, because when I play games, y'all, you see how I play Cold Blood. I'm sitting there trying to journey more than anything. So I'm not the biggest completionist either. I still ain't beat Far Cry 5. I got hundreds. I almost got 1,000 hours in that game. It's just what I do, bruh. So, yeah. Let me read these last 2 comments and then we're gonna go, because I want to get ready for the stream. I gotta leave here in about an hour and 20 minutes to go pick up my wife. I want at least get a good hour. He says, I didn't listen to them. I'm just asking myself, what the F was everyone, including Jazz Court, thinking to say ish like that to look like liars now? But he looks like liars to us. Cold Blood, you got to remember, Jazz has been lying since day one, bruh. He's been caught and busted numerous times. And he keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger in that community. Why would you stop now? Let me give you 2 prime examples. And I don't want to make this about these people, but I just want listeners to be abundantly clear to understand what you're dealing with, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to deflect and point the fingers at journos or content creators because PlayStation decided to be arrogant. No, my diatribe, my yelling diatribe, I wholeheartedly still believe that. PlayStation is being arrogant. They know what we want, but they could care less because we're still providing them what they need without giving us what they want. Anybody would do that. So it's up to you to stop trying to make the platform, make the landscape comfortable for them. Make it uncomfortable for them. That's what you have to do as a consumer. Otherwise, they'll just reject you and just do what the investors want them to do. Okay, so that's one. But I will say this, so listeners understand what they're dealing with. You got two levels of incompetency when it comes to that community or any fan. And to be fair, you got two levels of when it comes to incompetency in any community here in the gaming community or any sect within the gaming community. You got two levels of incompetency. And I am going to use Jez Gordon and Tom Warren, who I think they're close friends. I think they get along very well. I'm going to use them two as prime examples because they're different. Tom Warren is incompetent because he doesn't do enough research. Like everything is topical to him, and then what he does is he tries to fill it in and with his own understanding of what he didn't research or his own thoughts of what he didn't research, and he comes up with a conclusion that misleads people. He's not purposely misleading, he's negligent, but he's not purposely misleading. He's just not doing the work to understand things from 5,000 feet. That was the heat of the contention between me and him, because he often said things that were false about Stadia, and we're trying to educate people about the platform just so they try it. You're sitting there saying things so people won't try it that you honestly believe, but you only believe it because you didn't do the research. So that's an idiocy. It's negligence, but it isn't intentional. And I'm not saying it's better, but understand what you're dealing with. It's not intentional. Jez Gordon, on the other hand, intentionally does stuff or says things that he know isn't true because he wants a said agenda. Prime example, the one that we busted him on, when he said that there was no need to play Destiny anymore because play Stadia because of Destiny. He very well knew that even if the only reason why people were playing Stadia was because of Destiny, the Destiny that they were getting on xCloud was far more inferior, hardly even playable on xCloud than it was Stadia. But he had an agenda. He is a Phil Spencer toting fanboy that writes for a publication. And every now and again, his emotions get the best of him, and he goes on this, why Xbox rants. But at the end of the day, he's always going to do what he needs to do to fulfill that agenda. And that's why we came up with the video debunking pretty much everything that he was trying to say in his ridiculous article. But he does it knowingly. He knows what he's doing, and he knows what he's saying isn't true, but he's going to force it to get a specific outcome. That's why Tom Warren, who I think him and Jez are friends, and they don't have any ill wills with each other. That's why Tom Warren, just by deducing a little bit of common sense, was able to sit there and say, you know what, false patents, you're full of BS by trying to push this narrative about CMA and conflict of interest. Where Jez, on the other end, wrote a whole damn grown-ass article about the BS. And lying or confusing or miscombobulating things. Like, even in that article, he speaks a matter of fact about CMA counting Game Pass subscriptions and deriving their xCloud numbers just off of Game Pass numbers. That is categorically false. And if you look at the documentation, they prove that. We talk about that in our video about how the CMA was falsely accused of doing so. But he regurgitates those falsehoods because he wants Xbox to win, but he knows what he's doing. That speaks to integrity, Cold Blood. And he just doesn't have it. Where Tom Warren, for lack of a better term, may have his idiotic moments, but I feel like he has a level of integrity. He may antagonize people and say stuff to rattle people, but I don't think Tom Warren, he cares about his you know what I'm saying, the reputation as far as his integrity. So even though you'll get times where he's negligently wrong about something because he didn't do his homework, it's not intentional. He's not trying to mislead you. And I think that's why his knee-jerk reaction is to block people, because it's like, oops, I got caught once again, but I don't want to own up to it. It's like a shame that he might feel. So instead of dealing with the shame appropriately, because that's just what he does, he's knee-jerk with his assessments of things and he doesn't completely do his homework, it's just easier for him to block you. Where Jazz has an agenda and he's going to get there one way or another. Those are two totally different scenarios. He says, well, I didn't record Ish, but just look my profile up in PSM. Tell me I don't game. Yeah, brother, I know. I know you game more than me. You sitting there beating stuff, and I'm like, damn, I just started. I'm only 3 hours in. Golly. I know you game Cold Blood. So, all right, y'all, we're almost 3 hours in. Hell of a show. Thank you so much for your support, but we got to go. I guess I'm gonna play some Dead Island. I mean, not Dead Island. Some Deathloop for about an hour. So join me here. YouTube.com/@MM2K Gaming. Join me here. And let's get ready to do some gaming. All right, y'all. Well, I'll get back to I'll see you at the top of the hour, 2:00. I'm gonna make a quick phone call, but I'll be ready at 2:00. All right, y'all. See y'all there. Peace.